Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a great week. For this week's little art project, well, I'll be very honest, I'm not really sure what it's going to turn out to be, but I have a few colors that were left over on my palette, so I'm going to start by adding those to my background. And then I also thought I would play with my French ochre and sepia, and we'll see what happens. One thing that's almost always guaranteed when I pull out my paint supplies is that the process will be very intuitive. I really love this French ochre, and so I felt compelled to play with it some more. It's a color that I think I would associate mostly with landscapes, neutral landscapes, not landscapes for this time of the year. Here in North America, it's winter, and right now we're very lucky to be able to say that we have lots and lots of snow on the ground here in Maine. So the colors we see outside are a lot more into the whites and the blues and the grays, and so not anything like the colors like I'm using right now. But I was feeling called to play with these colors. I always like to experiment with colors, especially when I haven't had them for a long time. I want to see what I'm capable of doing with them and how they blend with other colors I really love to use. And so I'm going to be working with this French ochre, which I really like, and I'll use this sepia as well. I also love this color, but it is a more it's not an exciting color in any way, shape, or form, but it's dark, and so I think it's good to provide contrast in a painting such as this one. But I do tend to like bright colors, so I've decided that I'm also going to be working with quinacridone orange gold, I think it's called, or quinacridone deep orange maybe. I'll verify that and let you know what the name of the actual color of the paint is in my list of materials down in my video description below. But yeah, I feel like playing with these colors. I don't know what it is about them that I find is so compelling, but every time I look at them, I want to play with them some more. And I think maybe it's because when I was younger, I tended to wear colors that were more neutral. I tend to probably wear a lot of neutral colors, which is interesting. You know, I'm an artist. I love color, and I do love to wear color, but I don't tend to be very out there in my self-expression when it comes to the clothing I wear. So I tend to be more attracted to sort of neutral colors, and maybe that's the attraction to these colors. I don't know, but I do love when they're combined together, and so I want to play with them, and I want to see if I can maybe create some kind of geologic abstract or maybe something neurographic. I'm not 100% sure yet, but definitely want to explore these colors some more and see what I can come up with. Maybe what it is about these colors that I find so appealing is that it reminds me of the earth. And I'm a gardener, so I spend a lot of time planting and digging holes and playing with the dirt in my yard. And so I guess maybe what I'm thinking of when I'm looking at these colors is that it reminds me of that. So I know you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, she's being inspired by dirt colors. How exciting is this gonna be? Yeah, I hear you, or I hear what I am imagining you would say. I get it. they're not necessarily exciting colors, but for me, they're the colors of life. And I guess that's why I'm feeling called to play with them. And I really think that once I start adding some details to these colors, I can really make them come to life and create something more exciting. Well, maybe exciting is not the right word, but I think I can create something pretty interesting using these colors and some details with my pens and markers. So first things first, in order to make this a little bit more interesting, I am going to brighten things up a bit using some Nicolezo yellow. It's sort of my go-to color when it comes to brightening oranges and reds and yellows. It tends to stay pretty bright when I apply it, even after it dries. And I find that when I apply it over other colors that are sort of in the same family, it also helps to brighten up these colors. So that's the first step to making this background a little bit more appealing, if we will. Maybe it also reminds me a little bit of the energy of fire, especially this quinacridone burnt orange. It has a very warm and at the same time fire-like appearance to me. It's not exactly like fire. I guess when you're looking at flames, they don't show up quite as orange as this color is showing up on my paper right now. But to me, it's sort of reminiscent of that. And so these earthy, fiery colors are calling out to me, and I'm letting my intuition guide the process, and I'm feeling a little daunted. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go, but I'm also kind of excited to just play with these colors and see what I can come up with. Okay, so maybe I was feeling like it wasn't quite exciting enough. So I've decided I'm going to add my color called Carmine Nacre. And it's it's in the same family because it's a reddish color, but it's a little bit cooler. And so I hope adding a little bit of it to the painting, not a lot, because it could be an overwhelming color if I had too much of it in the painting. I think adding some of it will add a little bit of visual interest and maybe brighten things up a little bit more. Adding some neutral tint will also help me create a little bit more color contrast. I'm really liking this area of the painting, and so I want to draw attention to the colors and how they blend together by drawing a shape around those colors. Though I really wouldn't call this neurographic art, I am using some of the same techniques, I guess, that I would use in neurographic art, and I've gone in between my little rock-like shapes, and I've colored in the corners of the rocks to maybe round them off a little bit. And now I'm coming in with my fountain pen and I'm adding some stippling. Since my painting is feeling a little bit darker than I actually want it to be, I think it's going to be good for me to start bringing in a little bit more light. And so I'm coming in with some white gesso, and I'm going to start to brighten up some of those areas in what I consider to be the focal point of my painting. That section of rocks, I guess. And so I'm just going to add it here and there, and as I keep adding it, you'll see that the painting starts to really shift and become something different and more interesting. I'm going to be working with my Sleechy extra fine tip pen and creating some vertical lines. It's a little bit hard to see what I'm doing, so I've moved the camera a little bit closer in the hopes that you'll have a better view of what it is that's happening right now. The details are very subtle, but they bring a little bit more interest to the painting when you look up close. My process is often, I guess, what I consider to be almost like a dance. I move back and forth between doing different things, and it's always because I'm guided by what my intuition is telling me to do. At first, I added some white. I really loved adding the white. Then I felt called to adding a little bit more black. And after adding that black, I felt like I needed to add more white. So that's what I do. And it's really that simple. I don't do anything too complicated. I kind of just listen to what my intuition is guiding me to do and I give it a try. Sometimes it works out great. And then other times I do something and I'm not 100% sure that it was the best thing to do. But every single time I learn. And so I'll know better for the next time what it is I would prefer to do. In this case, I'm definitely liking this white, and I think that adding the white, sort of having it flow around the shapes in the middle of the painting is really helping to make the focal point of the painting pop. So I'm not really sure you're noticing this quite as much as I'm noticing it, but when I taped my paper to my surface, to my plexiglass, I noticed after I taped it that I had taped it upside down, meaning that I taped the back of the paper up. And so I'm not painting on the surface of the paper that I should be painting on. And I feel like it's more apparent the closer you get to it. But there is a right side to your watercolor paper. Will it work differently? Yeah, it does work differently. Is it substantially different? Probably not, but there is a difference, and I can see just in the way that the paper is imprinted that it is different. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out. I want to be more careful moving forward. Now it's time for my star gold. In this painting in particular, it's going to look really nice because it's very similar, I guess, to the colors that are in the background. It's going to contrast in the sense of the fact that it is iridescent, and so it's not exactly like the colors in the background, which is what I guess makes it interesting. One of the things to note though is that star gold in this case is really not going to pop quite as much as it would as if it was put next to colors that are more complementary, like a blue, for instance. So if I had some blues in this painting and I added my star gold right next to that blue, it would really have a significant eye-catching effect. In this case, the effect is a lot more subtle, but I still like it. And this is one of my favorite colors, so it's kind of hard for me to create a painting and not use it. Earlier, I mentioned that sometimes I feel called to do something and sometimes it works, and then other times it doesn't. In this case, I felt compelled to add a little bit more star gold in different sections of the painting so that it would sit on top of some of those colors, which I think would make it look really nice. But then I really didn't like the effect of it. It didn't seem to be very effective. So I decided to come in with a Q-tip and a little bit of water and rub out those little blobs of gold that I just added. And in doing so, it sort of rubbed the paint a little bit more into the background, so it wasn't quite as obvious, if you will, but it created a nice effect. And when you move the painting and it catches the light, it's actually quite nice. because I really like the effect of spreading a little bit of that star gold very thinly and lightly over some of the surface of the painting, I decided to come in and add a little bit over this rock, if you will. And because I'm only adding it very thinly, you can still see all the colors be underneath the star gold, and I really like that effect. And then when it catches the light, you'll see it looks actually really nice also. Let's have a closer look at those little glimmers of gold in the background. At first, I wasn't really sure where this was all heading and if I'd end up liking my painting in the end. But I must say that after everything has come together, I can now honestly say that I really do like this painting quite a bit. Those little, like, tiny areas of gold that are just lightly spread over the top surface of the painting really add some nice visual interest. And I love how it all came together. What colors are you daring to play with these days? I hope you enjoyed watching my creative process, and most especially, I hope you're feeling inspired to start a creative process of your own. Thank you for making the time to join me on this journey. I hope you have a wonderful week, and happy creating!